Yo everybody, my name is GrampasPace, and in this video I'm gonna try my very best to keep up with a couple of A+ drivers. Stay tuned. Now, first and foremost, what I'm going to do right here is set a qualifying time lapse, since I haven't done that in a couple videos ago. So as we cross the double chicane right here, and I'm gonna get right into the finish line, it's going to be a 4-minute exact .475. Now, as we head on to the first race, we can already pause it right here and look at the pole position driver right here, Yellow Jacket, which he is an A+ driver. And if we scroll down, we'll see Range right here, which he is much faster than Yellow Jacket. So, we're going to carry on and start with the race right away. And as we start right ahead, we're gonna get into the first chicane, get very close to Yellow Jacket, and keep on going. And of course, right off the bat of the first race, I'm gonna get a whopping of a 1-second penalty. The marshals did not like me cutting that track over there, I'll tell you what. But as we carry on right here into this right-hander, we're gonna carry on, and this part right here was the most difficult for me at the whole entire video. So as we carry on, I am gonna bump draft Yellow Jacket to keep away from the rest of the pack behind us. That way I'll be able to serve my penalty and hopefully keep second position. Unless Yellow Jacket here is going to get a penalty himself, as they get very wide right there. But unfortunately, I have no idea how they did not get a penalty for that. As we carry on to Indianapolis, I'm going to have a really nice run right here. And as we take a left here, I am getting very close to Yellow Jacket, which is really good news to me, by the way. As we get to Arnage, we're gonna take this right-hander pretty nice, and it's gonna be some side-by-side action. Unfortunately for me, I have the penalty to serve right here, and as you know from the previous video, Diego Davila has unfortunately did cause a lot of carnage in the previous video, and hopefully he'll be clean right here. This was recorded before the previous video. I do suggest you all check it out. However, when we go right here into the Porsche curves, he just decides to turn into me as if I don't exist once again. I think watching this now, actually, he doesn't have his radar on, and I just don't think they have like spatial awareness of what's going on around them. And as we take this left-hander, of course, I'm gonna run a little bit too wide, and that will grant me a half-a-second penalty, as we have Salty Old Boy right behind me, and Reigns is right behind them, as we're going to take this double chicane right here into the last part of this lap. We're going to carry on, and ooh, that was a little bit too wide, but I did manage not to get to the gravel. Now, as we look at the delta right here, we can see that the gap right now is a 5 second at the start of this long straight. And if we look right below me, we can see the Argentinian and Reigns having a little battle of their own, making Reigns one step closer to me, unfortunately for me. However, if we do skip at the very end of the straight at Ulsan, we can see I've closed the gap by 1.3 seconds. And as we go to Indianapolis, I managed to kind of keep it between 4 seconds. Now, as we see right here in the delta, that half-a-second penalty will actually be reduced a lot more than a half-second, which will actually be over a second and 1.3 seconds, I believe, which is very significant, because now Reigns is actually very close behind. He's 1.5 seconds behind me. As we cross the double chicane, I am gonna cut this very neatly, and as we cross the line, we can see Reigns here having a way better exit than I did, and he managed to get to less than a second. And as we get to this very long straight, Reigns actually has managed to close the gap. However, thanks to me taking that turn really well, I managed to increase that gap up to second. And thanks to this very long straight, it has been actually more than that. And the Argentinian and Reigns are still having their little skirmish, which is really good for me because they can keep on battling and that will increase the gap even further. And as we carry on here, we're gonna get pretty close to the Porsche curves, and we can see the gap is still 2.5, 2.4, setting a purple sector right here, which is really good to see. I'm very glad for that. And as we're gonna take this left-hander, the car slides a little bit, but this time I didn't get a penalty for it, and that makes me very happy to see. So as we're gonna carry on into the double chicane right here, the sky is looking grayer, and as you can see the weather radar down below, there might be a possibility of rain in this track. So we're gonna cross the line right here, and I'm gonna set the fastest lap of the race, which is always great to see. Now as you can see right here, in actuality the weather radar is indicating that there are a bunch of clouds, but it is going to turn out that there's not going to be any rain because those clouds are not strong enough to bring out any rain. Now as we can look behind us, we see Reigns very ominously is managing to keep up, and not only that, he is catching pretty fast except for this long straight. And that is not good news actually, but as you can see here, Yellow Jacket is also getting closer and closer, and as we jump to the final lap, he managed to increase the gap, and Reigns behind me is also managed to decrease his gap to me. So as we're gonna take this chicane right here, and unfortunately for me, of course, I get too wide and I'm gonna collect a half a second penalty. I think by this point I was very aware of Reigns and how quick he is, and as you can see, I am making a few errors because of the pressure that he is managing to bestow on me. And as you can see, once again going too wide, and I'm gonna collect another half a second penalty. And we can see here I am wiggling out of frustration because I know I can do better. But as we jump on to Reigns' point of view, we can see that they are managing to keep up, and he is actually in my radar now. That's a lot of pressure to me, and I am very aware of how quick he is. He's very fast. As we go right here side by side right onto Mulsanne corner, and we're gonna keep up going onto the hill, and now we're going downhill right onto Mulsanne corner. And thankfully he did back out a little bit, but he's gonna get a way better exit than I am. As we can see on the wheel, we can check out the camera right behind, and he is actually gonna pull a move onto the inside, which is a very good choice. And we're still going side by sides. Although I do have a 1 second penalty, I'm gonna fight this. I'm not gonna give this position up easily. Who knows, maybe he can pick up a penalty or not. But as we carry on right here, Reigns is actually gonna brake a little bit too much. I'm braking pretty well right here, going a little bit wide, and they are trying the undercut. However, they are not being able to catch it. I'm going defensive. I'm not gonna give up this position. I don't care if I have a 1 second penalty. And he gets way better exit than I do. As we carry on to my point of view, I do serve the penalty. And unfortunately for me, I managed to finish in P3. As you can see, I am something like 4.5 seconds away from Reigns, maybe almost 5 seconds. But nevertheless, we're gonna carry on to the next race. As we can see right here, Reigns is gonna start in P9 compared to P10 in the previous race. As we carry on to the first chicane, I'm gonna go a little bit too deep here, and that gives Yellow Jacket the opportunity to kind of increase the gap and stay away from me. And as we go on to B Calyx point of view, they almost did hit me here, and I'm glad that they didn't. And as we carry on, right here into this right-hander. Can I make it without a penalty, please? I don't think so. So that's another half-second penalty, which is becoming a common theme in this race, in this whole video actually. So gonna get to yellow jacket right here. Thankfully this Bugatti has such an insane top speed compared to the rest of the cars. As you can see, I am lifting a little bit so I won't bump into them too hard, so they can get the boost and we won't get damaged. Now as we get into Mulsanne, I'm gonna brake really well, take the corner very nicely, and again they take it very wide and not get a penalty. As we carry on to Indianapolis, I'm gonna take it pretty well once again, right behind yellow jacket. I'm very proud of myself that I'm being able to keep up with an A+ driver such as yellow jacket. It makes me believe in my skill a little bit more, you know. And I'm gonna serve the penalty right here, and fortunately for me that penalty did not get the drivers behind an opportunity to overtake me. As we carry on to the next lap, we're in Indianapolis once again, managing to close the gap with yellow jacket once more. Can I finally overtake them here? I don't think so. I am pretty good at this track, but I do have the Bugatti Veyron, which has such an incredible top speed that does help me manage to catch up to the leader every time we get to the very long straight. Now we're gonna carry on here into the S's here. Gonna take this right-hander, a little bit of a sliding action over here. As we take this left-hander, is it gonna be another penalty? No, it isn't. Now we did manage to close the gap just a little bit in the double final chicane, and we're gonna carry on with the fastest lap once again. I'm gonna take this right-hander, and unfortunately once again another half-second penalty. You know, as I've said before, it is a common theme in this video. As we carry on into this very long straight, we're gonna skip just a little bit of it, and I'm gonna get right into yellow jacket's slipstream. And this time I thought, I'm not gonna bump draft you, man. Like, I have a penalty here to serve. I have to get before you and take the lead of this race momentarily. As we can see, Reigns right in the background is, with their ominous presence, are managing to really keep up here. And now we jump onto yellow jacket's point of view, and they do lift a little bit. They don't want to bump into me. Very nice and clean play from them. That's amazing right there. Now they do know I have a half-a-second penalty, so they don't really need to fight this at all. But we can see at the track map at the bottom right that Reigns is still behind us, and I do give a little bit of wiggle here to show my frustration. I think I'll stop doing that. But yeah, as I tuck into yellow jacket's slipstream, it's not really going to be enough at all since they have already pushed on through. But that gives Reigns the opportunity to tuck into my slipstream and get closer to me. So we're gonna skip the lap here and gonna go into this right-hander right before the very long straight, and of course once again I'm gonna cut it, and this time it's not gonna be a half-a-second penalty, but it's gonna be a 1 second penalty, which is a lot. Now Reigns did manage to keep up with me with my top speed right here, bump draft me a little bit, so he knows he can get to yellow jacket since my Bugatti is his ticket to get over there. As we jump onto Reigns' point of view, we can see right here that I could have had a very nice battle with them. However, I have a 1 second penalty to serve, and I do serve it myself right here. Jumping right at the very end of the race, I couldn't get to them. However, the gap this time was actually getting very close, and you can see Reigns is so fast. He managed to get yellow jacket there, and so this time Reigns is going to start P12, Diego is going to be P1. Yellow jacket is not here with us anymore, so this is the final race, and Reigns is the only driver that has an A+ driver rating in this lobby. Now, as we're gonna get to the first chicane right here, Junior Sanchez right behind us had an amazing run on us, and they did brake a little bit too early, and I managed to get it perfectly done. Great defensive maneuver from me right here. As we carry on to the very long straight, at the very end of it, I'm gonna try and pass Diego right here. Now we're gonna jump onto Diego's point of view, and they're actually gonna punt me off. And I did expect them to actually stop and wait for me, which they didn't, mainly because a few races ago, this incident happened, which it was very rainy. This is right before the very long straight in the rain, and as you can see here, I am waiting for them to catch up so they could get my position back, since I felt that was not a good way to overtake them. And if you do want to check that video unedited, the link is in the description down below. Now, as we get into this first chicane right here, I managed to accidentally punt Vanilla Shakes. They took it a little bit horribly wrong, and again, of course, another half-a-second penalty for me. Yay! Now, as we carry on right before the Indianapolis, we can see here P2, P3, and P4, which is myself. We're gonna have a penalty to serve all of us right over here. I'll be able to actually pass Vanilla Shakes since they have a 1.5 second penalty right here. However, Junior Sanchez does have a half-a-second penalty, and they are an A driver rating right here. Not an A+, but still a better driving rating than myself. Now, as we're gonna get right here into the double chicane, which is the last few sets of corners right before the lap ends, we're gonna get a really good run here. Actually, Junior Sanchez is gonna get a better run than I did, and Reigns once again is right behind me. Very ominous, very quick driver in this lobby, and as you can see, Junior Sanchez's lights have turned on. That's because there might be a possibility of rain in this one, right, as we carry on right here. Now, I'm gonna try my very best to stick to Junior Sanchez, and they get it a little bit of wrong, getting too wide over here. And as we go right, as you can see, they get a half-a-second penalty because they went too wide over there. Now, it does seem that it is looking a little bit darker and darker in the race, and I do believe that we will have rain pretty soon. As we jump onto Rain's point of view, we can see that I'm making a move on Junior Sanchez, since my car has the best top speed on this straight. Now, as we get into Mulsanne corner, it's going to be very neatly done, and Junior Sanchez and Reigns are going to have their own little battles pretty soon before Reigns can get to me. Now we're going to get into Indianapolis. That was beautifully done. Now back to Reigns' point of view, as we all take this left-hander, and Reigns and I are going to be side by side right before Arnage, and they do manage to get the run on me as I take this corner horribly wrong. I have no idea how I didn't get a penalty for that, but as we can see, I took it so bad that even after Junior Sanchez's penalty, I couldn't even overtake them before the push occurs. So I got very close to them, that's for sure, but I could not make the move done right here. It's dangerous to make a move over here since these consecutive corners are very high speed. And so we move on to the next lap. I'm gonna bump draft Junior Sanchez right here before the chicane, so we can actually work together in the very long straight and catch up to Reigns. That would be really good. Now, I did think about making this move, but I thought better of it, and it is better to work together and get Reigns than try and get him myself. Now, as we're gonna go right here, look at this, it's such a beautiful game, even on the PlayStation 4, just amazing. as we're gonna carry on here, I'm surprisingly not gonna get a penalty, and we jump onto the middle of this long straight. It has started to rain in this race, and this is actually a really good move from both of us after bump drafting Junior Sanchez, and now I'm actually going to betray them by trying to overtake them myself onto Mulsanne corner. And as you can see at the bottom left corner next to my tires, the moist meter is increasing, and at the bottom right the weather radar has actually started to show up with some rain. Now we're gonna carry on right here. I do need to brake a little bit more than usual since it is pretty damp and wet on the track. So the racing soft tires that I do have at the moment are not the best. So as you can see, I'm going slower than usual, which after I take this left corner, I should have slowed a little bit more because, you know, the current theme, another half a second penalty. As we carry on here, and we can see Diego in the distance, I do go and manage not to get a penalty here. The moist meter still shows us that it's pretty wet, and as we get to the very end of this raid, Reigns here is going to try and make a move here onto my left in the outside of Mulsanne, but he thinks better of it, and they do give us the space to breathe. Now this is very nice. We can see Diego here with also half a second penalty, so it's a fair game to see who will ever get the lead of this race. This is the very final lap of the race, as we're gonna carry on right here with Reigns' point of view once more. He's right behind me, and they're gonna try and make the move right on the right here onto the inside of Indianapolis, and I do give them the space. As we're going to go into Indianapolis, it is going to be a side-by-side action, and it's going to be very clean from both of us, as Reigns do try to back off of this, and they do manage to get the inside. I do leave them the space open right there. We're going to still be side-by-side right here as they get a better exit. They do manage to leave just enough room for me, but unfortunately for me, I'm going to need to serve my half a second penalty, as we see Reigns drive off into the distance, and they're getting very close to Diego right there, and actually gonna try and make the move work right before the Porsche curves, as I myself am gonna drive and manage to get to Diego. Hopefully I'll be able to get at least second position. I know Diego's not as quick as Reigns, and they're actually pretty equal to my driving rating. And as we carry on right onto this right-hander, I'm gonna brake just a tiny bit, gonna go left here, and there's not many corners left in this race. I really hope to get at least P2 here, but Diego is fairly quick himself. As we go into the final double chicane right here, and into this chicane, please make something. There's no mistakes from Diego at all, and as we cross the line right here, I've managed to improve much more, get to 1.5 seconds between Reigns and myself. I think I've done a really good job, and if you've enjoyed this video, I'll see you all in the next one.